Record swipe. Thank you very much to Deacon. Welcome to the Hat Chat podcast with your hosts, Chris Trott,
Ross Hornby,
and me, Alan Smith.
Every week you get to know exactly, based on our intros, how much of a delay there is between us, thanks to our internet. So this week's about a second and a bit, I'd say.
I'd say. Yeah. Obviously, I don't know how delayed I am to you, but Smith was definitely, about maybe 2 seconds from me.
Could be two.
I did put like a little pause in between, like just to
the
think
brain
a
delay.
little bit, like
Just to, yeah.
Do you know the latency between like your brain and your physical actions? Is there like a general rule? Of,
I
like,
reckon
how
mine's
much?
about 300 milliseconds.
You got a 300 millisecond.
That
like,
seems quite long.
finger.
I feel that
finger.
seems.
Me personally,
I mean, I don't know. How do you measure that? Is it the ball trick where you like
you count.
drop a ball
Count.
and like catch it as fast as possible? Or I mean, I don't know.
Think
I don't know
about
how to
wanting
test
to move
this
your
thing.
arm, then count the time before your arm moves.
The thing is, you counting is also another
first thing I would
brain
say is one.
activity. So I think we need an
I'm
external.
on a US West server right now, guys. That's the problem.
Ah,
US West.
right. What, brain-wise or internet-wise?
That's the kind of ping I'm working with. It's
You certainly look
it's
like you're dressing for US West right now. I mean, you got a very
What
nice
do you mean?
beach
Oh, you like my ensemble?
beach wear.
It's got some very
You
nice
could just
shorts
hit the
there. That
beach
looks like
right
you
now.
are- That's
Oh,
it.
nice
Twerk. That's a twerk. That was.
That's for
haven't
our
seen one of those in a
audio.
while. That's good.
Listeners, that he did a twerk.
Yeah.
You're missing out. Truly.
for video viewers
Trot.
only.
Yes.
Last time we did a podcast,
Hmm.
you said it was episode 38, and today is episode 38. Just throwing that out there for anyone confused, because I was so confused when I was editing the last one together. I was like, is it 38? I came to put the sending out. I was like, no, it can't be 38. I looked up and just so
Fucked
just
up.
for anyone listening, whoever's really worried about the numbers for any reason, it's 38. That's it. We've done
Well,
38 of these.
You think you missed one, maybe? No.
Yeah, well, that's it. I was wondering if someone's
Idiot.
thinking, oh God, did I miss one? Fuck, has it been that long?
Shit.
But yeah, don't worry about it, guys. It's 38. We're all good. Everything's fine. Deacon did the fingle. Deacon did a great job.
did the
Very
fingle.
chilled.
If you want to
Deacon.
check out Deacon, he plugged his Instagram in the email. So there you go. At Deacon. DEAKON. If you like that kind of retro vibe, chiptune stuff, or maybe it's just selfies of him. I don't know. It's an Instagram. Why would you post music there? Deacon.
I think if you DM him, he'll send you a dick pic. But I think that's Deacon's way, innit?
We just opened his DMs to dick pics now.
Wow. That's the way
That's what
things
you've
go,
done.
You know? That's just the reality we're living in.
No, you can't do it.
A
It's
dick pic
shrug.
could be anywhere.
It's a shrug.
A dick pic could be anywhere, guys. You know?
Oh.
Do you get sent dick pics? Have you ever been sent
Yeah.
a dick pic?
I send
No.
them from, you know when you can like schedule and send in Gmail now? I like to send myself stuff months in advance. Oh wow, pretty good for 3 months ago. Good job, Chris.
Wow, this was
Past
So like a
That's good.
progress pic.
Yeah.
Anything, you're looking back.
Here you go.
It's like the feature that Facebook does, where it's like, oh, this is what happened a year ago. Oh my God, wow, my dick's grown.
Do you ever look at it
your
and go
reaction,
like,
obviously.
God, it's definitely the shaft's definitely got browner. Have you ever done that? And I gone, like, what's with that?
Why is it tanning?
Why,
How is it
why
tanning
dudes'
more?
dicks get brown?
It's constantly covered up. How's it getting darker?
Why is it darker than the rest of my skin?
That's you should wash more ultimately as well.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't. It's not. No. Whoa. That is not down to washing. That is not
Very
down to washing. It is
defensive there,
a
Ross.
freak
Very defensive
natural.
there.
Well, I'm just saying. Look, you can wash
He's
and
got a
wash and
very
wash.
brown dick.
And it's just. It's honestly. It's just a very large birthmark that starts at the base of my
It
penis.
just keeps growing. Oh no. Huge mole. Huge mole is taking
yeah,
over.
the tip is just ridiculous, guys. Honestly,
Yeah,
you
Ross
should see
doesn't
it.
realise.
I'll send
he's
you some
been
pics.
using
Yeah, please
fake
do.
tan as
Schedule and
lube.
send it.
Fake Tanner's lube. Oh my God. See my hands. Orange hands.
What's going? I don't know why this keeps happening. Honey, have you seen my lube?
I actually did. I have years and years ago when I worked at Curry's. I did. One of my friends recommended this moisturizer. No, not masturbating with fake tan, but it was like this moisturizer.
Honestly,
which was,
mate, it's good shit.
It's good shit,
And
mate.
it'll protect you.
Get you off. Fuck lube. You need this stuff. And it was like this very mild tan, but I ended up going into work with a very orange face and like orange hands. And I was like, you said it was like mild, like you said it wouldn't do much. And now I had like this very, very obvious like white line where my hairline was, and I was like, this is just that's fucked up. And you know, I mean, look how pale I am. You know how pale I am. That still like stands out. I was like, this is fucked up. Look what you look. I mean, I'm not going to apply that again. That's bad. Never again.
I can just imagine early Ross with his home shaved hair and his
spiky. It was spiky, of course.
The orange tan. Just angry.
It wasn't that orange. It was just so much more. Any kind of tint to my skin is obvious because I'm so pale.
Yeah.
So it would just look silly.
Ebony.
And I barely did my neck. I also had like a finger line where I had a finger line where I clearly just smudged it, and it was just clear. It was just clear that was a finger line of semi-fake tan stuff that fucked up.
I'm trying to find that video where you ultimately did the same thing for a character, a Trent Bravo.
Oh shit, the Trent Bravo, yeah.
Yeah,
that was orange face. That was full orange face, slick backed hair.
It's like just a little reference to what Ross would look like that. But
did you use like snazaroo to do the orange face in that? Like, what did you use to get that tan?
I cannot remember. Bravo. I think it must have been. Yeah, it was something like that. I think either that or it was a really like
snazaroo. Yeah, I think it was snazaroo.
Yeah, it must have been. It must have been. I'm not really sure why. It was more of the cheesy salesman was what we were going for, and that kind of worked with the slick back hair and. Yeah, I mean that video's not even live anymore because it like at the time, it was called Frape, which just is not really on that. Yeah, exactly. Trott's cringing. It's like it's not.
It was this
it's just a
product of its time
now, isn't it?
Where the idea of catching someone's computer or device logged in on their Facebook, and what you did is you went on there and said something stupid, or uploaded pictures on their Facebook feed. And it was it was deemed the term by the internet to be frape.
Sure. Yeah.
So, product of its time. We wouldn't do that nowadays. We learned from that, and we unlisted
it. No, in fact, it's unlisted. I mean, it was
it.
Unlisted for a different reason because Ashman was in it, and I think a few of his students started noticing it, and
he's a teacher now.
Questions. he's an educator. So
he was the serial. Yeah. Anyway.
Right, he was the rapist. And it was very it was a comment. It was comedic, but obviously like it was just poor wording. I think just really ill thought out in that sense. But at the time, what year was it? 2011, 10, 2010, I think.
Early uni days.
10 years ago.
Where we thought that was funny.
I mean, the production value was quite high for what we've done in the past.
We had a track in there.
We had spinning plates where we put the frape away, which was basically like a canister, which we just decorated to say frape away on it, and that little pipe on it, which looked like a bong. It looked like a really interesting bong, and a PC fan at the top.
Had a battery.
Which for some reason we decided to make that work, so it actually genuinely works for the video.
I don't know why we did that. It's so stupid.
We had a lot of time at uni. This is the thing. Like, they don't tell you this before you go to uni, but there are a lot of gaps where you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this time? This is like,
let's make a stupid
first
video.
year, you're kind of learning everything. There's not really that much pressure on you too much to get everything done. Like, it wasn't that bad for the course we were doing anyway.
40%.
We ended up
first
around.
year. That's all you need.
40%. Well, yeah, exactly. It's very loose.
3 out of 15 lectures of one module. Because it was at 9 a.m. and I was like, it's ridiculous to expect a student to get up at 9 a.m. I'm just not going to go to it. What was I thinking? To be honest, it was 40%, so it didn't matter.
40%.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting thinking about how much you pay for those things, and it's even more money now than when we paid for it, and just how little few lectures you'd always make.
When you get your loan and that kind of stuff, it feels like just monopoly money. Like there is no correlation between me owning that money at all, because I don't, and the work that's going into uni. Like you don't really ever see it. Like it just goes out again. So at 2 for Tuesdays down at your local.
And also like I think we're still paying it off now. Like they say, it's the best loan you'll ever get, and ultimately it's fairly straightforward. You shouldn't really panic about that kind of thing if you're going to uni. I mean, I would feel shit if I was signing up for uni this year, because I don't know if they're doing online classes to start with. Or qualifying this year. Exactly. There's been a lot of drama recently with the way that they fucked up the
A-levels.
The results and stuff.
GCSEs.
So hopefully anyone listening is okay, but geez, it's like how do you even like take it seriously if it's not even the score you actually got? You know,
so
you just have to hope it works out.
Educate me on this subject. There's an algorithm, right, that's scaling grades based on the school
where you are.
Yeah. So none of that shit's happening anymore.
They've changed that now. That was the drama.
Grades for like
teachers
everywhere.
predicted.
Yeah, some of them are using like aggregates between the teachers' predicted grades and their mock exams and shit like that. But like by and large, it's like whatever the teacher says, sort of thing.
Yeah. Right.
But that's also quite hard apparently, because I spoke to Nathan about this, who is a bit closer to the education system in that sense. He doesn't actually deal with A level, but he was saying how it's even hard. It's quite hard for the teachers to assess individuals because of the way certain subjects are taught.
Yeah.
So even then, like they may not have like the best kind of accurate way to mark you, especially with coursework and stuff like that. But
I could definitely.
It sounds like a nightmare.
I know some teachers from like my uni course who I had no real relationship with at all, and I don't really know if they knew I existed in the course to a degree. Like, you know, where you have some people who are just bigger characters, and they're like, oh, I like him. I like Lee.
Definitely,
He's going to get... Oh, yeah, he's going to be a big filmmaker. I'll give him an A star. I know there's probably way more to it, but I'm sure there's like a personal attachment.
I wish my degree had been judged based on that and not on my actual exams, because for sure. Like I had a couple of lectures that I got on with so well, and they really enjoyed talking to me, but then they asked me to actually do something on paper, and I'm like, fucking hell, I can't, like, I'll do it 2 hours before or something.
Yeah.
Like, I would have benefited from that so much. Unfortunately, which is interesting because I think that's going to create a bias. So you're going to see the people who stood out to their teachers in certain ways in a few years' time benefiting from that. So maybe we've created almost this preferential to extrovert generation or whatever, or this teacher preferential system now. I mean,
that is if it's based entirely on that. We don't know for sure.
But it will be influenced. You can't deny that there is an influence here. I think that the students should get as high grades as possible through whichever system as possible, because it gives them more opportunities.
We submit loads of different pieces of coursework throughout the 3 years, and I feel like an aggregate could be taken from those grades as well, right? Surely, or at least have an influential part. So
it's hard to say. And what's really frustrating about the whole situation is, like, when it comes to A levels, I don't know how well you guys did. I did pretty shit at A level.
I did terrible.
However, I had enough to get into uni, and then ended up getting a first because I was doing a course that I was really interested in, really wanted to do well in, and I was passionate about. And that I think that makes the difference between, you know, I mean, obviously A levels you do choose your subjects, but if you're not necessarily strong in them, you might not get into the course you want to get into.
I bailed out of A levels.
It's not always about that. It feels like a bit of a
But to me, that goes to show that how flawed the grading system is. Like, what if you hadn't managed to get to uni? You wouldn't have done that at all, and then the country would be worse off. Like having a person
a bit courage with an orange face.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that happens in other fields as well, and this is what I was saying earlier in last week about how it is important that you encourage people to do as much as they can and make them feel as big as they possibly can, because ultimately I don't think grading people is a good thing, because like you say, you may have had a shit result in exams that people traditionally take, but you got a good result in a less traditional route. Like, for me, that just shows that it's not about like being good at everything. It's about what finally people are good at, you know, like, which is quite a flawed system. We're kind of put up against that, and people, especially when you're a kid, like, I feel now I could go to university and choose something that I would genuinely be interested in. When I was fucking 19, and even before that in secondary school, when they're like, choose your A levels, you're like, I have no fucking idea. Like, you get to about 30 and you start to feel like
it's a big decision.
I've got an idea.
A lot of it, I'd say, is influenced by parents, friends, and stuff. It's like, you're good at art, you should keep going with that, or something like that, because you're so out of sorts. You fall into categories because, like, you're known for this certain skill set, right? Just because you slightly excel at that more than other things, or parents pick up on it and kind of nudge you in that direction, like a sport or something like that. And then you kind of realize, like, I guess I'm good at it. I guess I'll keep doing that, rather than, do I enjoy it first? I do remember having that thought, though, of like, do I really enjoy art to the point where I want to do it at uni? But yeah, again, I did A levels for a year.
I don't know how you,
and then stopped.
I don't know how your school was, because
and then did a diploma.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because you had a gap year, didn't you, as well? Which
so I just didn't. I wasn't enjoying doing media studies. I wasn't enjoying doing music production, because it was great, but it was taught badly, and it had weird teachers in it. And I had some other, like, art was bullshit, because it was like, today everybody, we're gonna roll around in paint, and then you're gonna be really expressionist on the floor. Oh, you're covered in sand. A star, amazing. Oh, you got up your nose. That's really symbolic.
Powder paint in my eyes.
And it's just like, I just want to do fine art, like really like detailed shit.
Yeah.
You get graded the same if you have sand all over you. So I kind of like fucked off for that one.
It's a circumstance of where you are as well.
Like, the whole thing.
mean, you aren't going to scour the the country for a better school when it's like, unless you're going to go to private school. You're kind of stuck with that, and if that doesn't work out, then you're kind of screwed. But there are some schools which are super like they're pressure based, where they will literally be like, you need to get this, this, and this to do this, and then get on to you need to do this. And it's like, I didn't really get that kind of drilling, but I know people who have, and they just said it kind of ruined their mentality towards school, and kind of made them go towards subjects they didn't really enjoy, and it can fuck you up. So I don't know. I luckily I kind of just didn't really care too much at school, so I was kind of like, well, I'll just do what I find fun, which luckily has paid off, and it is luck, because we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we didn't get seen at a certain point or whatever. So
is it getting harder?
But having that interest helps.
Like, is it harder now than it was when we were doing it? I feel like there's even more pressure and even more money invested, because tuition fees are higher now in England, at least. I feel like there's a lot more pressure to succeed and do it, and employees have the pick of the bunch ultimately, because there's less jobs available and more qualified people to do it. I don't know. I
think it's a many spoke problem.
Very complex issue.
There isn't one. I mean, it's like you're saying, you got the whole like sort of people finding it harder and harder to get jobs because everyone's so overqualified, which is true, I think. But also just like the whole curriculum, everything about it is curriculums become outdated so quickly, but they take so long to establish. Like, so by curriculum, what I mean is, you might know this, but like the planning, the learning that is prescribed to schools to teach to students. So a curriculum will be agreed upon by education leaders and a government, and then that will be taught in schools. But it's quite a complex thing. It's basically, how do we want our citizens? What do we want our citizens to know? What do we want our citizens to turn into? How we want them to behave? Like, it's a very complex thing. So, and it becomes outdated really quickly, because our culture moves so fast now. Like especially in the age of apps. Like, everything that we believe, everything that we see, everything that we hear is a very fast-moving thing. But traditionally, curriculums don't change for decades. But already now we have to change that, and I think it's too complicated for three uninformed.
It definitely is, yeah. I think when we went to uni, it was quite a loose and free situation. Do you remember the first kids that were in the first year in our film class? And there were people who just had no interest in film whatsoever. They were just ticking a box. In fact, we worked with someone who was the most frustrating person I've ever worked with. And you'll remember this, Trott. We were filming a documentary, and he literally was just like, I just want to be a primary school teacher, and I just don't really care about any of this film stuff. But we're like desperately trying to make this interesting documentary, make it work, and he just wasn't doing any of the work because he wasn't interested. He just wanted to tick a box. And it's just like, why did you come to uni and do film? You weren't interested in the fucking scientist just to tick a box. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like the mentality of some people, and in the first year, you kind of wean out the people who took it, on a whim, and then they just dropped out the year after, or maybe even a few weeks after, because they just weren't interested. And it's just like, I don't feel like that's something that happens that often now, because it's so much more expensive. It's like triple the cost.
I'm sure it might.
Yeah,
it probably does. Yeah,
you're probably still going to get.
People just want the uni experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, families that have the finances to just take their kid to uni will do that. Like poor Ashman. The parents, were above that bracket where he didn't really get a student loan and ended up working most of the time.
He was. Yeah.
And he was worse off for it well, not now, obviously he doesn't have a loan, but at the time I remember him really struggling to both do work and like have money to join in with all the activities that everyone else was doing, and
but he made it work, and obviously he did really well out of it. He's got a PhD now, so it can happen.
And
also like he actually I feel like he chose a uni based on where I was going, in terms of that he could have done better than Portsmouth. Portsmouth isn't bad, but you can do a lot better than that. And I think he just wanted to also have a laugh, and that was great. I'm glad he did, because that was a good fun. And you met him, and he was Dr. Jesus Trott, of course. And he was
the now unlisted video with Ross with orange face. Tanned face. Anyway, that's school. I think we summed up school and the current issues. I think we're all good. I think we nailed it on the head, as per usual, and we've changed some lives. So there you go.
Yeah, I find it so hard to imagine going through that now with the current situation. Like, I feel there's so many unfortunate situations for the generation going through it now, in terms of
I just feel so out of touch with it as well. I think that's the biggest problem, is like once you're out of education, you kind of start doing the adult thing, which is fuck knows what we're doing, but I guess we're earning some money here. That's adult life, by the way. Don't think that anyone knows what the fuck they're doing. Just kind of struggling your way through, really, and pretend you know what you're doing.
Fuck, and then you just like just keep going and don't look at the ground too much, basically. Like I think, like as in, that's what it feels like going towards your late 20s. You're like, and obviously we're early 30s now. It's like, guess this is the right way. It seems to be working. Let's not question it too much. And then you're like, oh my God, what am I like? Because when you're growing up, going through education, you always feel like you're just like on to the next thing, right?
You've got a checklist. There's always
or have you made the right choices in advance and stuff? And did I choose the right subject, etc.
Exactly. And then you get into a job and you're like, especially one as unusual as ours, like it's sort of just like kind of scary to be like, not in an institution anymore, right? Like as in like not in a framework, like as in like, because you are we are institutionalized through education, especially us. Like our generation was like you say, like, fuck, you going to college? Yeah. You going to uni? Yeah. I guess so. Like everyone just like 80 something like 85% of all people who went to college in our secondary school went to uni. So like, and 60 or 70% of our secondary school went to college. So it's sort of just like,
some people create their own structure after that based on like their social surroundings. So it's like, okay, school, college, not uni, can't really afford that, don't really fancy it, get married, have kids, work,
get a stable job somewhere,
have a pension, and start building a fund for my kids. That's like the next steps, like the logical steps, or like the safe steps, I guess, for a lot of people. Or it's like, I'll join the military. School wasn't for me. I'll get into that institution.
I can totally see the appeal of the military personally. Like, apart from having to kill people, but not all of people in the military have to do that.
Imagine that's fairly small in comparison to all the other job roles that the military offers.
Exactly.
Not that we're selling the military to everyone, by the way. This isn't.
This isn't a recruitment.
Is this a good point to play the huge army ad?
I think so.
No. Actually, cancel that one. Cancel that one. No. Back out. They've caught us.
I don't think I'm cut for the military. First of all, I'm adverse to being shouted at. I don't particularly like it, so I'd rather not. And then the whole idea of running around and sitting outside in the desert for a long ass time and being on the front lines of a war zone just doesn't appeal to me,
I think there are shitloads of different jobs though, aren't there? Like in terms of like, you could be in catering, Do you have to go through boot camp for every single role? I don't know, but
I've seen enough Hollywood films, Ross.
You have to go through basic training.
That's the thing. Basic training. Okay.
It depends, but then some of them are really difficult. Like, so I was actually looking at like reserve stuff and seeing like, because a friend of mine's thinking about joining, and so I was looking at like the sort of stuff he could do, and some of it's like really hard to get on because like some of them it's like you have to have a medical license, like to be like you can join as like dentists and things like that, like
I guess you need all of those facilities that we take for granted as civilians, kind of in the field, right, or wherever you're based. That kind of makes sense. Because like, where else would you get your dentistry? or your health checkups.
It's kind of interesting just to see jobs listed like that, where it's like, have you got this? Come and see us. We have spaces. Like, I don't know about you, but like the job market in any other field is a little bit more like fucking sending CVs off to everything and like never hearing anything back.
Spread wide.
Yeah, like pretty interesting.
Not that we've had to do that. Again, we're kind of lucky. All we do is observe friends around us that are having to go through this. So I feel relatively detached from it, as much as we can empathize with the idea of CVs. Ultimately, we're lucky enough to have fallen into this job, so to speak, in quote marks, and not had to worry about it, but just see everyone else around us worry. So I don't wonder if that puts a certain perspective on the way we perceive these sorts of things in a different light.
Well, it's different, yeah.
But I remember my CV.
We'd be naive to assume otherwise.
I created a CV at uni, like 20, I don't know, 15 or something like that.
2011, surely, straight after.
2014 I think was the last. Oh yeah, 2011 is when we graduated, right?
2011 is when we basically, it's when we finished uni, and we were kind of just like, what do we do now? And that's when we started making videos, because we were like, what the fuck do we do? Do you want to play some Minecraft? Sure, let's figure it out. And then,
let's go home for a bit.
And then, exactly. And then the luck happened, and then we just kept things going, and here we are today, still soldiering on. It's very bizarre, and it's very surreal as well in that sense. It's quite. That's why we talk about so many weird existential things, because not everyone is that lucky, and you just have to ground yourself sometimes to be like,
you can see the stepping stones to billionaire Musk syndrome and Notch syndrome. How the more detached and how much you're winning at the capitalist whatevers, the more detached from society and humanity you become, and then you start thinking oddball thoughts and theories about life and its meaning, because ultimately you're handed everything on a silver platter. You're seeing everyone else struggle around you. You feel detached from it.
It doesn't make sense to you.
It's not affecting you in any way.
Like you've not had that tough ride of it, and I think that's one of the biggest things to remember all the time. And I think this is what a lot of Tories struggle with, is a lot of people, Tories in particular, sorry to single them out, but maybe, but like I speak to people I know, friends of mine that are more conservative, and they say things like, well, I've had to work this hard. I've had a shit life too. And it's like, well, yeah, but you still don't know the depth or the reality of what it's like to live as another person who may have had even more strife in their life. Also, it kind of just baffles me when a person has struggled in their life and succeeded, yet they don't empathize with the struggles of others. I'll be honest,
I actually had this discussion with someone very recently about, because obviously there's this immigrant thing which happened, which has been talked about constantly, which always feels like a distraction, but basically, what was he saying? I'm completely lost my train of thought now.
Immigrant
he wasn't. I was asking about whether he empathized with the situation, and there was somebody who was kind of almost cheering the situation on in terms of like people who were like failing to get into the country and stuff, and not really humanizing them, like completely dehumanizing these people who are desperately trying to go somewhere because, it's maybe it's not safe where they are, and they, there's various reasons. But why would you cheer that on? I just don't like that. Doesn't will probably never have a real effect on their lives in any big impact.
Oh, but it will.
I'm sure there are people who will.
Jobs and ruining our societies.
But just where's the empathy? And it just seems like you see that a lot. And I'm not sure if it's just online. Maybe it's just online. I'm sure in a real situation, you'd get that same person might help that person up if they saw that happen in real life.
Election
results. It's the online world now. It's just poisonous.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. I'm just sorry to interrupt you, Trott, but like that is a good point. Like a lot of these people say things, and then if they were there in that moment, I'm pretty sure that person would help. And you're absolutely right. I think but they have this this outward disposition, I guess. And sorry to clarify, not all Tories are like this. It's a bit lazy of me to just say
that's very generalization.
But it is a strange trait to have, I think, to be so. Don't know, destructive of the poor when it's all of the bigger institutions that are the problems.
I don't know about you, but like the people who are quite hardcore Tory that I know are actually really well off. They're really well off. They're sorted pretty much. They've got a stable job, earning really good money, got a nice family and stuff. And it's just like
Well, if there's any
but some of the things they
say
to
about
status
quo,
do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's just a case of they're going to take our jobs, take our homes and stuff?
That's one assumption.
I think it also
I don't want things to change. It's all good. That too. Yeah.
It's like I'm good at this. I'm powerful. I'm better. That's why I'm here. That.
I've clearly earned this status and earned this money.
So I will say that by shitting down. I mean, don't get me wrong. I shit down on things as well. You know, I fucking hate Asda. I talk about it all the time. You know, I will go. Oh, I don't want to eat because I fucking hate Asda food. But I'm like, as in like, you know,
when have you last been there?
Like that. When we did the pancake video, because I went there because it was the cheapest I could find in terms of ingredients, and it was a miserable experience. But like that is, you know, snobbery. That is snobbery, and like
it is. I mean,
it's also preference. But
it could also be the Asda in that area, because there's 2 Tesco's I've been to recently, and there's a drastic difference in how one Tesco's is treated versus the other one. There's one by the IKEA past the M32 that has people that don't wear masks, don't give a shit about the staff there, and trash the place. And it's awful. But there's another Tesco's that I go to where everyone is wearing a mask, and it's like, it's interesting. There's these little tiny ecosystems.
Is it in the burbs? Is it in the suburbs or something? Like
what do you mean?
The other Tesco you go to?
It's another Tesco Metro. It's a big old bugger, and it's near a lot of residential housing, kind of up a road some ways. And yeah, it's just a lot better. But it's not. I don't think it's the Tesco, so to speak. I think it's the people around it that go to it. But is that snobbery? Is it Asda?
Is it snobbery? Is it snobbery? I mean, I think it's easier to say yes, but at the same time, when it comes to that more specific problem of mask wearing, then sure, that's almost just like a personal health thing. I can understand anyone thinking that. But I think with the snobbery and the feeling of success. But then again, this all comes back to fucking capitalism and how we've all been made to feel as though money equates power and the right way to do things. If somebody is successful, that means they are the correct way to live, right? Like, that's a problem what we have. And we're slowly all learning that's not the reality. Successful people can be miserable and evil too. We all know that now. But I think that's a holdover from that. And then when a person becomes successful, they're like, I am in the right. I am the right way to do things. And then that can create that sort of snobbery and that looking down upon, which is what we mean by snobbery, really, looking down upon something as if they are lesser than yourself. And you know, that's like me thinking Asda is a lesser supermarket than Marks and Spencer's and Waitrose. And is that snobbery? I don't know. Like, you know, Marks and Spencer's and Waitrose, I think, are British owned. I'm not sure. But for example, Asda is owned by Walmart, a multinational that has been a plague in the US in terms of its approaching to do things. They're a part of a race to the bottom of economy where you exploit people as much as possible so you can make your products as cheap as possible so that the end user is more likely to use your shop. But at the same time, the cost to all of those people in your production chain is high. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is that snobbery by me going, I don't want to shop in Asda because I think their products are shit and I think they're shit? Like, you know, because
I think that's just down to their services in general, and also something that you just don't prefer. If you found a better place, you're like, I like going here and the food is more satisfying to me, then yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
you don't need to project that onto others, is what you're saying.
Maybe, yeah. So you go, don't go to Asda, they're shit. Like, try it for yourself. See if you like it. If you don't like it, fuck it. I just go to a supermarket that's close to me, and that works for me. But I mean, there was still stigma years ago about like places like Aldi and Lidl.
Road, that's why. M&S Simply
People used
Food,
to
lovely.
M&S Simply Food, yeah.
That's right up the road
right?
from you, isn't it?
The big
that is up the road
Walmart,
from me. That's not too far.
Multinational fucking huge companies like this are preying on the low income because both need them for workers and happy to work minimum wage because that's the only jobs available in the area, and also so cheap that you can actually shop there, and it just feeds the whole machine because you can't shop at Marks and Spencer's because everything's twice the price. So you have to shop at Asda because I work at somewhere similar where it pays minimum wage. And like, how do you break out of that? Like, how does that stop? How do huge corporations like that stop preying on ethical issues like that? and
I don't know.
overseas working in factories and shit.
People being able to buy what they want, first of all, but then also people not accepting the lowest, cheapest product as the preference, because ultimately you will turn every consumer
what if it isn't a
into
preference?
fast food market. If it's only a preference because it's cheap, then by paying people and giving people money or the capability to have what they want, then that wouldn't be a factor. So everyone wouldn't have to go and shop in the cheapest places. Like, this is a little bit like, you've always got to be careful not falling into the Jamie Oliver argument, where he did the whole free range organic chicken thing, where he said, like, if you're shopping this Christmas for a turkey, like, please just get a free range organic one. And everyone was like, well, hold on, like an Asda Christmas turkey regular, probably had a horrible life and all that sort of stuff, is £9, and the one you're saying is £40. People can't afford that, Jamie. Don't just go, oh, wait a minute, I know how to solve this problem. Everybody just buy the best, nicest thing possible, because we can't. But if we give everyone the ability to do that, then yeah, absolutely, we can be happy. But then again, all that's not going to happen until we have gigantic, maybe in our lifetimes, wealth management, as in for getting some of all this money at the top back into. I mean, money is just crazy. Yeah. Like none of these problems will be solved whilst we still live in capitalism. None of it will be solved. All of these problems still exist. We need seismic change to change these kind of problems.
Yeah, and I've got quite a pessimistic outlook on it, and I feel like the only way it will stop is when it crumbles in on itself, rather than there being positive change to it. I feel like it's just going to collapse, and it's going to be a terrible time.
How things change. At the moment, that's how things change. But then think about like the American War of Revolution, the opposite. They had to, they pushed on a crumbling, monarchy, really. The monarchy was shit. The empire was falling apart. But like, as in, there are opportunities to make positive change, absolutely. And I know what you're saying. Right now, it feels nowadays change only happens when things fall apart. But I think that hopefully change will start happening. Maybe in the next few years, everyone starts getting really pissed off, and we're like, right, let's actually change something.
COVID is a fucking great example of literally a disaster happening and creating a ton of change as a result of a disaster. Oh fuck! Yeah, we under-budgeted for a pandemic response, and also we made terrible mistakes because it turns out we're not very good at handling this sort of situation. But it's put our entire economy into recession, and we have to drastically fight against this ridiculous situation. This harrowing situation, and a lot of positive change has come out of it. Like, people are treating disease seriously now, wearing masks and stuff like that, washing their hands properly. I mean, those are small things, but movements
there are a lot of systemic things that haven't changed
as well.
Like, it's surprising that, like, rent stayed the same price. High street rental and stuff is all the same price, but they're not getting the footfall, so they're just leaving it there to just fester and eventually just collapse. Even though everyone cries about the high street every time a shop closes. They're like, why is this happening? It's like, well, that's why it's happening. We hit a high, and then when something like this happens, you buy everything on Amazon, and when you're encouraged to buy everything online, that's where everyone moves, because this actually really fucking is really easy. The amount of people who probably had never bought anything online, probably had to buy stuff online during the height of the pandemic, is probably massive.
Like, oh my god, my parents did that. My parents did that. Like,
I've been exposed
100%,
to the
East. My parents were like, oh, we got these lovely little lights on Amazon, and I was just like, yeah. And they're like, oh, they usually wait for like buying like fairy lights, like little lights. They'll usually wait to go into like some interior shop or something, and they'll be like, oh, let's get some of these and put them on the mantelpiece or something like that, But now it's like, oh, look at this, oh, look at this, oh, look at this, what a humidifier! Like, it's like
the wealth of options.
There is a plethora. Yeah, exactly. Like, man. It's not our generation that's going to destroy this planet, guys. It's our parents when they find out all the stuff that we've got access to.
Jeff Bezos got 38.7% richer over the 3 months of the bulk of the pandemic. In fact, loads of billionaires did. So Bill Gates gained 11.7% of his wealth. So he went from 98 billion to 109.5 billion. Zuckerberg, 54 billion to 86. It's nuts. And they're all profiting massively. But where does that money go? Back into those little hidey holes in random countries.
And
this is the value. This is the value of the company as well. Like, as in, you got to remember that's not all cash.
Yeah, it's up and down. Yeah, it's up and down.
So to them, when somebody comes up to them and says, "Mr. Bezos, good news, you're worth 37% more there," he's probably not going to go, "Okay, can I have it?" He'll be like, oh, okay, excellent.
that
Let's
back
just
into the
keep
company.
doing all the projects. I'm used to owning all this stuff. It's like us, like, right? We haven't increased the amount we've been paid in like 5 or 6 years, right? So like because of the way we're not tax
in general, just
because of the way that we pay ourselves through a limited company, the tax laws haven't changed. We're like, well, we don't want to pay 40-50% tax, so let's just take less money, so we pay ourselves slightly less, basically. But that hasn't increased. So for us, when we get a big deal or get a big really awesome load of donations and stuff, that for us is longevity. That's like, oh, okay, great, we're going to be able to pay ourselves now this for 2 more years, whatever. Awesome.
Or put or put that money into content and warehouses.
But it's not like, oh my god, I can't wait to go out tomorrow and spend that $5,000. That it doesn't work like that. And I think also with a lot of these things, it's
some YouTubers it does. It seems like some YouTubers must just take it all out at once and then just go, I bought a Ferrari, now I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
cool. Good job.
Whenever we're at shoots with other YouTubers, and we're staying over or whatever, so we'll chat to them at the bar in the evening or something like that. The amount of times I've said to people so what sort of tax, what kind of company do you have? And they're like, what? And I'm like, do you have an accountant? And they're like, no. And I'm like, and they're bigger. They're usually bigger than us. They're usually earning far more. And it's just like, it surprises me how many YouTubers don't think about those kind of things. But then again, I guess
well, they'll just face a crazy tax bill when they realize, oh shit,
and they have to pay it all back. Yeah,
I now have to pay 50% of your wealth because of the crazy spending they went on. Whereas we were like,
I feel like it is worth disclosing. At films, we pay large amounts of tax. We pay at least about 20 to 30% of our income each year as tax. The year that Starbucks paid $4,000 tax, we paid 20 times that amount at one point or something. It's ridiculous.
Does that make us stupid? Does that make us?
Apparently, we're not big enough to.
Are we worse with our money because of that? We're just willing to pay it.
No, because ultimately, we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And if everyone did it properly, then our economy would probably be in a better place for it. And
if everyone just paid 20% tax,
everyone does. Everyone pays their tax normally. It's just through obviously their company, and that's done for them. Obviously, we just have to do it ourselves. It's a bit more visible to us. Whereas we have to go through the annoying forms and send it off to our account, etc. Whereas everyone, that happens to everyone. It's the billionaires and stuff who obviously hide it somewhere, and obviously they're seeing massive profits and they're putting it somewhere else, and that's somehow allowed because other countries say, we want your business here, we want your money here. Fuck it, we're not going to charge you any tax. The ambient effect of
someone with all that cash is worth it to those countries. But that's why we need to
literally
break it.
It costs $2 million to get citizenship in countries.
Right.
No.
As in, you have to have $2 million in your bank, and you can get free citizenship. As in, they'll be like, come to our country. That's fine. Even if you're not spending, all that money there, they want to know that you can spend that money there, and more money will accrue. I read it in a wealth management book thing. It's quite interesting, but also just highlights these crazy ways they hide their money and how families kind of keep the money for.
Bad after reading it, did it?
Bad in what sense?
Did it? Because part of me would think fuck, all these people getting away with all this stuff and having this great freedom, really, and that I would likely never have. It's almost like being a prisoner reading about life on the outside in some respects.
Well, it was interesting because obviously these are things that wealth managers are paid quite well to keep this stuff very quiet. They help manage
invisible,
billionaires' wealth,
untraceable,
tuck their money in certain places. But they also arrange stupid things like infighting with families and hiding money from spouses or lovers and stuff. It's very interesting. In fact, I'll find it. I don't know where I put it, but it's very interesting. And I think I recommend anyone read it just to learn a bit more about those people who you'll never really find out about because they hide themselves well. You'll hear about the billionaires who want to be heard about. You'll hear about the Elon Musks and the, Donald Trump. I don't know if he even has $1 billion. But you'll hear about them because they want to brag about the money. They want to do crazy things with the money. Whereas there are big billionaires out there who are just hiding their money, being quiet, being in Epstein somewhere, and then they got caught and then they're fucked. But it's very eye-opening to what's possible, but also just eye-opening to the fact that you'll never get to those states. It always baffles me when someone because ultimately, you're encouraged to earn as much money as possible, until you're dead. Earn as much money, do what you can. Get a job, motivate yourself and what have you. But you'll never get 1 billion. Not really. Not unless you hit the big time, you get that crazy app you designed suddenly hits the big time, sure. But like that is so rare that even thinking that you're going to get that is like thinking, I'm going to win the lottery 10 times over. Nope, you're not. Why are you defending somebody who is literally hiding their wealth somewhere else? I don't get that. Mm-hmm. But people do it, and it's and obviously they're just like, well, yeah, but I want to be able to earn 1 billion if I can without someone saying what I should do with my money. It's like, sure, but you need to understand that that's such a vast amount of wealth that you're never going to do that. And it's unrealistic for you to think so. It might be wishful thinking to think you can get 1 million. But 1,000 million? No. I think just be real about it and realise that that's needed elsewhere in your world before it turns to shit.
There kind of needs to be...
It's very infuriating.
It needs to be heavy tax because our income needs to be relative to like what change you can actually make with your own personal income. Like having someone with that amount of wealth and then not distributing that wealth is bad for everybody, right? Like, what are you really doing with that wealth beyond? And when you die, what the fuck happens? Like, you're protecting Amazon. When Jeff Bezos
goes to trust funds,
it's going to go to his family, close proximity people. It's not helping the country that has helped establish Amazon or anything like that. Yeah. It's keeping it very insular.
Bill Gates is giving 90% of his wealth away when he dies.
Great.
Bill Gates, right? Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Other billionaires, 90% of their wealth. They've already given 50%, and they will give 90% by the time they die. And I think that is
they agreed on that,
a
like
perfectly
some sort of like
acceptable way of doing that. He still get 10% of his wealth to do whatever the hell he wants with, by the way, and it's hundreds of millions of billions.
It's far more
of 109 billion
ever spend. Like even if you had every luxury in the world given to you, like billions of dollars or pounds is just unfathomable amounts. Like you don't need any of that. It's crazy. It should just all be, and like you say, maybe there should be a clause. Like, you fucking did it, all right? You won. You won the capitalist game. You got your billion.
I saw that, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's good.
But unfortunately, you have to sign this contract that says when you die, 90% of that will go back to the fucking economy, because without that...
but that's... amazingly, that's how taxes should work, but they avoid them so well because they can pay the right people to put it in the right places, or they can pay the government the right amount of money. To hide it. So it's unfathomable amounts of wealth, and somebody thinking that defend the guy who's got billions and billions upon billions and is profiting off of a pandemic where millions of people are dying, and it's just disgusting, really. But the little man can never do anything. Mentioning it on a podcast will do nothing. It's the governments that need to do stuff, and people like Bernie Sanders, who was desperately trying to tax them, and they get shouted down because like, we should earn as much as we want. It's like, yeah, okay, keep dreaming. It's weird. Get real. It's so fucking strange.
Well, we need to get past this dogmatic zealousness of like somebody saying that, like we should, America's based on freedom. Like we should be free to earn as much as we want. Same in England, by the way. I'm not saying calling America.
Yeah, same in England.
England, like, I should be allowed to earn how much I want. Like, there's this, and then other people be like, yeah. That's a concept. That's an aspiration. Like we need to get past this ridiculous dogmatic sort of like zealous approach to politics and opinion, and just be sort of like, well, hold on, let's think about this. All right, so Jeff, we've given you $1 billion. Yeah, how's life at the moment? It's fucking insane, guys. I can do whatever I want. Do you think you need more? Not at the moment. No. All right. Okay. So the rest of the 90 billion, you guys will get $1 billion as well. Like. And I mean, that's not even examining how that money is a representation of actual physical things, or at least should be, or services. That billion isn't just a billion of value. Like it is like stuff. It should be stuff. It should be tangible. It should be useful, because that's the only real point. Money representing goods and services. It has a use. Like if this valuation, I think, is based on assets or potential value, then
it will be. Yeah, stock markets and shit.
Then that's complex.
Isn't that just a pseudo inverse way of doing universal basic income?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you're saying is someone does the work or doesn't do the work, but becomes a billionaire, and then that gets redistributed to essentially the populace for essentially not doing the same work, right? So that's what you could argue is like, I didn't work for this, but someone else did.
In that system, $1 billion wouldn't be $1 billion. This is the thing. Like, it's not. The problem is the value and the extremeness of that billion is only extreme and huge because of the economic system we're in. Like if you were then to say like, right, let's give everyone a universal income, then there would almost be no. This is kind of why it's kind of like communism in a way, because in communism people were given a job to perform, then they were provided housing, they were provided food, and they're provided a vehicle. Like that's the idea behind it. Like you are given your needs, but in practical application, most instances, like in Soviet Russia, like that was the case. Like you didn't have much choice. You didn't have much, like individual expression, and that's one of the criticisms of it. With universal basic income, we'd be up against the same problems in that if you just gave everybody, $3,000, $4,000 or whatever a month, then every car marketer would know that is how much the average person has. So they would all design cars to fit that budget or to fit that make. So you may also have
stifles growth.
Problem. Exactly, and this is why it's difficult. This is why we need something new, because we always look back. It is very important.
Isn't growth capitalist in a sense?
It is.
Well,
it would be, because you want to do better for yourself, and then
go on. Capitalism is kind of the freedom to succeed or fail, but the problem is, I think for a lot of people, is that the system is really rigged, so lots of people fail, so a few can succeed. Whilst it's I think it's pitched or treated as this equal model of like everybody's free to. It's like meritocracy. So people are based on their ability to. Their value they give to the society they're participating in, right? So if you fuck up, if you don't do well, if you don't do a job anyone needs, if you don't provide a service someone needs, you don't succeed. That's the idea. But the reality is there's a huge social restrictions and massive framework around all of that. How well educated are, where you were born, who you were born to, your sex, your gender, your age. Like there's so much more, your race, obviously, sorry. Like there's so much more to it than just being a free market of opportunity now. I think is the problem.
But it makes you wonder, like things like the psyche of someone who inherits something like that without even like being anywhere near the actual work that got there in the first place, or the industry that got there in the first place, such as people like Trump and there's probably various other examples, but someone who literally inherited that money, and you have like we've mentioned earlier on, like a godlike presence. You feel like I can get anything I want in this world, anything. I'm going to
How did they get to that?
Because and it's just like it's mad. It's mad that you can buy power in such a way, but that is the world we live in, and we're all just
inherit power
the guys at the bottom watching it happen, and you are powerless.
That's not meritocracy.
And now we're just more aware of it because of the way the internet works. We're now more aware of every little thing that's going on in those worlds, and it's infuriating and stressful, and people want to protest, but those protests are being stifled even further, and post boxes are being taken away so you don't vote, and it's nuts, and it is insane, and we're watching it happen in real time, and these are the things that people warn you about from history and wars that we fought, and people are just smiling and saying, no, it's freedom to do whatever you want. It's just like you're watching things fucking burn down, and it's so demoralizing sometimes. But
I think a lot of the power is out of the populace's hands, though. I think that USPS thing isn't exactly encouraged by anyone in particular. Yeah, you got the devoted Trump supporters, but he's just doing stuff, and no one can really stop that from happening, other than protesting. It's
reach. It's reach. The louder your voice can become, the more people are going to believe it, or the people who aren't aware. Like I had to explain to somebody who Dominic Cummings was the other day. I was getting a haircut, and I was like, and they didn't know who they were. I was like, they're very ingrained within the government, but they're hidden to a degree. Obviously,
puppet master.
But like these are the people that are kind of controlling things behind the scenes. So what's the Prime Minister for? He's the guy. He's the front guy that you will want to vote for, because he's this floppy-haired knobhead who kind of just says whatever, and you're like, yeah, that sounds really fun. Yeah, cool. We'll go for that guy again. And then before you know it, your trousers down, you're getting buggered, and that's it. That's the situation. And you're like, fuck, I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this happen, but it just happened. But yeah,
that's not a hairdresser.
Grade 2 on the sides. Thank you.
He's there explaining who Dominic Cummings is. They're just like, right, I'm going to drop the channel.
And before I knew it, my hair was cut, and my trousers are behind me around my ankles. What's going on? Sacrilege. We can move it to some funny news to lighten things up a little bit before we end. Let's see. This one was quite funny, which I saw the other day earlier on. So obviously we've all heard of the famous waffle, which would be the blue waffle. Something that Kellogg's inadvertently named their latest product, which was like a mermaid waffle, which was the blue waffle. And then it took a lot of people on social media to alert them to the fact that the blue waffle is something very different from an edible snack. And if you are aware of the blue waffle, it's disgusting. Don't Google it. I mean, you can Google it. It's entirely up to you if you want to be scarred. But it's an STI. It's a disgusting vaginal image. And yeah, they accidentally.
I don't think I'd want a blue raspberry waffle. I'm not gonna lie. I'm interested.
No,
there's so many wacky things.
Oh, can you run to the shops and get me some blue waffles? What?
You wouldn't see this in the UK, but definitely on the US.
No.
There are so many more
Yeah.
For us, I think we quite a few years ago got taught anything that's a bright color is bad for you. In terms of
E-numbers, right?
E-numbers, essentially. Anything with coloring in it is probably not healthy, but that didn't really get to the Americas, and they still have all sorts of these crazy
I've noticed that organic, natural, these are all buzzwords now, things that look more like the stuff from the ground, direct from the source, is stuff that people are buying more often than not. But yeah, kids love the bright colours, don't they?
I tell you what, I would
They're all asking for blue waffles.
Something I hope that comes in the future. When I'm an old man, when I'm thinking about what do I want from the future, I want to be able to grow Willy Wonka plants. I want wacky shit. Sometimes
plants.
you see imagine being able to grow a blue raspberry plant. So you pick the raspberries are blue and they taste like that sort of
the snozzberries are snozzberries.
Exactly. Get me there. People are fucking around with CRISPR making rats glow. Get me a blue raspberry plant because I want to live in the fucking Alice in Wonderland trippiest fucking old house when I'm an old man, and it's going to be mental. And I want to be able to grow.
Just start experimenting with GM. Yeah, just start experimenting with your own GM and see what you come up with.
Yeah.
He's got a raspberry plant. He's got some knowledge. Good luck. Yeah. Go out there. Make yourself a raspberry plant.
Bush. Do you want to see guinea pig bush? And it's just these guinea pigs on the end of.
They're all dying. Are they okay?
Yeah, I haven't gone well this one. I'm not going to lie. Not as good as the blue raspberry. Chocolate dogs is next week. Just going in as a dog
don't eat me.
Go on, grab his tail.
Chocolate.
Go on, you can eat any part of it, but this seems so cruel and unnecessary. Ugh.
My greatest creation,
I got another story.
Thorntons. Go on,
Thorntons. This other story is almost a message to people to avoid. But this is from James Blunt. So James Blunt, the of he decided whilst he was at uni, which he went to uni in Bristol, which.
God, this big
website. Of course he did. He's a member of the aristocracy. Of course he I've been watching The Crown a lot. We have problems with the aristocracy in this country, guys. So he went to Bristol. He's also quite posh. He was a captain of a tank. He was a tank commander, and he survived. They let him put a guitar on the outside of his tank. Sounds like he may have had a bit of privilege there. He is a top bloke. I do like him, but he does come across very privileged. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Well, he gave himself scurvy, so there's that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at some point, he decided to eat meat for 2 months to annoy his vegan mates, which is already a dick move in the first place. Sure, okay. But it backfired because it ended up giving him scurvy, which is a disease resulting from vitamin C deficiency. Most associated with sailors and pirates.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Stuck out.
Army scurvy. So yeah. That's don't just eat meat, guys. If anything, just avoid meat.
Go on a fruit diet. That goes well.
Go on, fructose only. Yeah. Get loads of just high sugar fruits, bananas, apples, grapes. Just eat all of those, and then you'll be fine. Look at Steve Jobs, billionaire.
I like this comment here. Get scurvy to flex on the vegans. Dab. Hey, vegans, I got scurvy.
Got
nice one. Weird.
Hashtag privileged.
Nice one, dude.
Cool.
Oh my god.
His lips and stuff are just all shitty. And you look like you've been at sea for 6 months.
He apparently just ate ground beef and chicken for that period of time. I wonder if he was working out at the same time. I don't know. That seems like I don't know. It's very odd.
Have you guys tried keto? I've tried keto several times. You've done keto?
I've done keto for a bit, but it's just so hard to keep up. My girlfriend's done it. She's done it with success.
Brutal.
It worked, but the moment you come off of it, you have to keep it up.
Yeah.
It's hard.
But like, who wants to eat that much like meat and eggs and like it's such a hot, like heavy diet. Like it's you have to really think about. You have to weigh everything out. If you have vegetables, you have to have a very specific amount of them. It's a tough diet to get into, but it can yield results. And obviously, like it kind of leaned more to fasting was kind of a safer option. Like
that's it.
Intermittent fasting.
It all comes down to psychology. You can't physically keep up a keto diet for long, and then once you come off it, like you're just gonna bounce back. It always happens.
Yeah.
It's like, you got results in that short period, that short window. Are you happy with those? Because it's not gonna last. I just feel like you have to change your entire lifestyle for the rest of your life, and you can only do that with a bit of compromise, a little bit of like. Give yourself some fucking headroom to actually just enjoy yourself and eat food that you like. Otherwise, you're never going to sustain any fad diet ever. Intermittent fasting is a really good way of doing it, though, because it's like I can eat kind of what I like as long as it's in this window. That's like a bit more.
And they say it's good for your stomach as well, right? Like it's good to have.
Genetically, it seems like it's the natural way to do things, because that's what we would have done when we were first sort of like. Obviously things change over time, but we weren't very long ago, genetically speaking, hunter-gatherers. So I think the argument is we should run a lot, which is something a lot of people don't do. We're a running species, and we should also intermittent fasting makes a lot of sense, because you wouldn't be eating all the time, you'd be doing other stuff.
Makes sense.
Trott, didn't you fast for a little while?
4 days.
Because
I fasted for 4 days.
Water fast. I did 2.5.
Jeez.
And that was enough for me. Like, as in, this is water. So all you have is water, black tea, black coffee you can have as well. Like anything without any calorific value.
No calories.
4 days.
That's the rough part.
Isn't it? Did you find
2
it quite
days?
zen in a way?
Yeah. Like when I got to 4, basically apparently there's a mode that you hit. It's like the survival, like last ditch attempt for your body to actually go get some fucking food, and we're gonna give you like an adrenaline rush and utilize the fats that you've stored in your body. That's ultimately what fasting does. Is it makes your body start eating itself. But all the energy first. The energy first. Obviously, if you keep doing it, you're eventually gonna cut into your muscle fibers and things like that, and get dystrophy. But after 4 days, I felt pretty superhuman. I felt rough as fuck coming off of it. Obviously 2 days sucked. 3 days was like, I don't have much of an appetite anymore. That's good. I kind of lost that need for hunger. And then
what is food?
What is food? It doesn't really matter apart from smells and stuff. Like I try to avoid going to town and things like that, because like you get the spices, all those smells.
Oh man!
But after day 4, my vision was sharper. I was more alert. I was able to like focus on shit way better. Apparently you come off it when you start feeling hungry again, because it's like, you're really like, you've run out of your reserves now. You need to start actually eating some calories. But don't.
Well, what made you?
Please don't just do it. Please do some research. There are methods of coming off. I wouldn't recommend fasting like that. Intermittent fasting is absolutely fine. Just don't do it without really considering it, and seeing a doctor as well. Christ. Right. But it was an interesting experiment. I lost like a lot of kilos, but whether it was healthy, I don't know.
It's mainly water weight, isn't it, as well? Like you lose a couple of kilos because of you're drinking so much as well.
Yeah.
I have one final story.
Yeah.
And it's not a major story, but it was just quite funny because Jesus, like, it's stupid. So President Bolsonaro is a Brazilian president, I think. Okay. He mistook a child for a dwarf for a child and picked him up and put him on his shoulders to kind of like celebrate him before realizing and immediately putting him down. He just thought, oh, this will be good press. I'll pick him up, pop him on the shoulder, and take a photo opportunity. It's a fucking dwarf. He picked up a dwarf guy, and just that's embarrassing as fuck. I mean, that's pretty funny. But there's a little viral video of it going around of him.
There's the video
lifting up a
yeah,
you can watch it on on our channel as well. But he picks up the dude, and the dude's kind of like into it at the beginning. But it's just super
picked
like
up by the president.
Oh, imagine just being picked up by a person in general. Like, I mean, because like that is essentially that's what he's done. He's just picked a man up and put him on his shoulder and just fucking like, he's celebrating, thumbs up. Either you're mocking the man or you've got it wrong. That's basically it.
He was wearing a mask, so I guess like they didn't really clock it and just decided to pick him up. But still, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How,
famously was like not really good at dealing with the coronavirus, and then got it himself as well, which seems to be quite a trend.
This is like in have you seen the campaign with Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell?
Yeah,
where he accidentally punches a kid in the face, a baby in the face. It's like the same sort of gaffes. You're just like, oh my god, how did this happen? Sort of thing. Like,
fucking.
People have people who are like stopping them from fucking up like this, right? Right? No.
You'd hope so.
The curtain has been drawn back, fellow friends.
It's been out
too long. The world is ran by idiots. They have no greater plan. They have no greater training. We're all in this together. I'm gonna hide under my desk. See you later.
It's true. Anyway, thanks for listening today to the Hat Chat podcast. If you'd like to see the visuals and watch Smith cry, then please head to our YouTube channel. Just search for Hat Chat or the Hat Chat podcast. You'll find it.
Yeah.
And also, if you're watching on the YouTubes, we have it available on all the various platforms, music platforms as well. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play Store, and all of that good stuff. And thank you also to our Patreons for supporting us. Patreon.com.
So you visibly pushed that button there as well.
I did push the button there, and there's a visual to the link. You guys help Hat Chat keep around. Ultimately, there is no sponsorships as of yet on this, so you guys are allowing us to keep doing this on a bi-weekly basis. So thank you very much. You all get credited at the end on the YouTube video, so thank you very much. And also, if you have a fingle, much like Deacon, please send it in to our email, hatchat@films.com. If you think you've got some musical talent, and you can make a nice little 15-second intro segment,
nice,
or maybe something like
it can be longer, but
seconds out of. If you want to make a longer song, just give me. There's a little section of there that I can definitely stop
intro
for an intro. Thank you. Please send that to the email, and we'll happily feature it in the next episode. Any final words, Ross?
Also, thanks to everyone watching on Twitch and stuff who watch it live. You're holding us up as well, so thank you.
You're holding us up. We've got places to be.
Physically, you're picking us up without realizing who we are.
And
it's embarrassing. Thank you very much.
And of course, we stream this on twitch.tv/hatfilms if you want to watch it live. And we read out any subbies and donations at the end, after the credits.
Indeed.
So thank you for listening. We'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Stay safe, and good luck. There he is.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
He's poking his head.
Bye, everybody.